Brandon Arnold is the Executive Vice President of the National Taxpayers Union, and Thomas Savage is a research fellow at the American Institute for Economic Research. Thank you both for joining us. Brandon, what impact will this have on the investing world here on out?
Yeah, I mean, Buffett casts an enormous shadow. He's absolutely one of the titans, one of the legends of the investing community here. He was once asked when he would retire years ago. He said he would retire about 10 to 15 years after he died. And obviously, the implication of that being he's going to have such a huge impact on his company and on the entire investment universe because of the philosophies that he brought to bear, value investing, the longevity, durability in the stock markets, in the stock that he would pursue. So, this is an enormous loss, but I think his philosophy and his mentality when it comes to investing is going to persevere for decades and decades to come.
Thomas, switching gears, this from CNBC. Mom and pop investors bought the dip at key points in 2025, providing strong returns as the market climbed to all-time highs. Once thought of as unsophisticated and easily duped, a new breed of retail investors is giving professionals who have long dismissed them a run for their money. These investors shifting their focus from single stocks to exchange-traded funds, ETFs. One of the main ones, gold shares. The result, retail investors' single stock portfolios recorded stronger profit-to-loss ratios than baskets tied to artificial intelligence and software run by JP Morgan, according to data from the bank released earlier this month. So, Thomas, did retail investors just get lucky, or is this a trend that you think we could see through the coming new year?
Well, whether or not the trend persists, I think the jury's still out on that. But it really was an interesting and strange year in many ways. You had a lot of different things going on with the AI boom. You had a lot of wait and seeing if the Fed would cut interest rates, and there was a lot of people waiting on bated breath for that. And then, of course, too, there was a lot of policy uncertainty that came from Washington. A lot of the tariff policies, which were often threatened, sometimes rolled back, sometimes scaled back, sometimes implemented, really kind of left a lot of people hesitant, and some of those retail investors were brave enough to buy the dip. And of course, if things went differently, we'd be telling a different story.
Yeah. Well, Brandon, finally, Bernie Sanders called out the AI and data centers that are springing up around the country. Listen to him.
Think for a moment about a future when human beings are not interacting with each other and are spending virtually all of their time with devices instead of people. That is why, for a start, I will be pushing for a moratorium on the construction of data centers that are powering this unregulated sprint to develop and deploy AI.
Clearly, he hasn't been spending time with teenagers recently because they're already all consumed with the devices and other than people. But Sanders is expressing concerns also over the question of who's funding the push for AI, the impact of AI on the working class and young people. And he's not the only one. On the other side of the aisle, Governor Ron DeSantis also expressing hesitation on behalf of residents of Florida. He's not calling for a moratorium, but an AI Bill of Rights, which, among other things, gives Floridians the ability to veto construction of new data centers. Listen.
States like Florida not only have a right, we have a responsibility to make sure that we're creating sufficient guardrails so that this stuff isn't hurting our kids, our families, our businesses, and our senior citizens.
They need data centers that are enormous and just guzzle energy. President Trump, though, signed an executive order days later limiting states' ability to regulate AI initiatives. So, Brandon, is this bipartisan pushback on an AI threat to, further development?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little concerning to see that coming from Governor DeSantis, who I admire greatly, because listen, when it comes to AI, the genie's out of the bottle. That doesn't mean we should just sit back and see what happens. We should implement sensible regulations to protect us from some of the dangers, particularly those pointed toward children. But at the same time, we need to harness the power of AI, not run in the other direction like Bernie Sanders is suggesting. And this notion that data centers are solely the cause of our energy costs is just completely unfounded. So much of the energy energy price increases that we've seen come from renewable portfolio standards that have been implemented at the state level, from bad permitting laws that we've seen at the federal and state level that Trump is beginning to roll back. So I'm optimistic that even with data centers creating additional demand, smart government policies can lead to lower energy prices if we bring more electricity online and modernize our grid.
The magic phrase, smart government policies. Let's see what happens. Brandon Arnold and Thomas Savage, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.